There we go. All right, everyone. So we're going to start now. My name's Connor, and this is Chris. I think you guys have seen our channel. We,
Yes,
do
I watched the Kong
interviews.
interview last night.
Oh, nice, dude.
Yes,
Sweet.
I like those dudes. We were actually supposed to play with them right before the coronavirus thing happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Had you guys met Kong before?
I
You
played
know
with them.
right?
I played with them with my other band that I was
Mhm.
in before, Pushback. I think
Yeah.
we played with them once or twice.
Nice. That's cool.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to kick this thing off by having you guys introduce yourselves and tell us what your role is in the band.
I guess you'll go first.
So I'm Joey. I'm the vocalist.
I'm Devin. I play bass in the band and I scream from time to time. And then we got Arlo over here, our drummer, our new drummer. New guy.
Sweet. So how did Pushback come together?
Honestly, it's like we've known each other since what, freshman year of high school?
I mean, I was a freshman, you were a senior in high school. We were in this other band, we were in a metalcore band. And what happened was just high school went on. He went to Florida, moved to Florida. Then I was in here, I was in a bunch of different bands. Then I was like, you know what, I want to start a hardcore band. And around that time, Devin had moved back, we've reconnected, got really good friends, and I was like, yo, do you want to start a band? So it was just kind of a long story of how me and him always wanted to be in a band. Then we got separated, then we found each other again, and then we just created Pushback.
I moved to Florida to learn like tattooing. I wanted to be a tattooer apprentice. My brother owned a shop, and then it just didn't end up working. And throughout the time I spent in Florida, I was always talking to him like, dude, if I ever come back there, like, we got to do this. Like, we've always been saying, like, yo, let's do a band. Like, we always wanted to do a hardcore band together because not a lot of kids in the town we're from, Sayreville, New Jersey, like, it's not a lot of metal kids. It's a lot of, like, the typical radio bullshit that you're going to hear.
Yeah.
Not saying it's bad. I listen to some of that shit, too, but we bonded because we liked the underground hardcore scene. Like, there was nobody, like, we were walking around Sayreville High School wearing, like, Expire t-shirts and Backtrack t-shirts and, like, all this, like, hardcore shit. And, like, some of the teachers would just look at us like we're the next fucking school shooter. Like, they did not treat us kindly. Like, I swear to God, one of our guidance counselors literally asked me if I needed mental treatment because I told her I didn't want to go to college. I wanted to be in a band. He was like, do you need help? I'm like, yeah, you know any guitar players? Like, what are you talking about? What is this? But he was in like a pop punk band at the time, and it wasn't really going too well. And like perfect storm happened. I moved back to New Jersey, and he was like, let's do this. Like, I think the time is now. And here we are.
Wow.
All right, so now we can talk about the writing process for this new EP that you guys put out. How did that come together?
So when we went to do the EP, we had just gotten rid of our like first original guitar player, and I wrote the guitar parts originally because when we first started the band, I was the guitar player, and we were teaching our friend to play bass, and it was kind of like one of those things where he was like, you know, I wanted to be in the band because I'm friends with you guys, but like this music ain't really for me. And like I can tell it's already starting to be something and I just don't have the time for it. So I was like, you know what? I want to play bass. I like bass too. So basically it was just me and Joey. We went out to the studio in PA with a friend of ours and I recorded the not the drums. We programmed the drums at first. Then I did the guitar and bass and he did the vocals. Whole thing was recorded in 2 days too. That's all it took.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Those songs were like, you know, written, scrapped.
Yeah,
just
rewrote because members changed. And we had, especially because we lost the guitar player right before we did it, it was like kind of one of those things where like, oh, I wrote this riff in that song. I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to take out all your riffs and I'm going to change them with mine. So you can't say anything. But
Wow.
Yeah, it was over a course of like 4 or 5 months that we wrote those 3 songs and just kind of perfected them, and then out came our EP.
Yeah. And this is your first EP?
This is first thing we did. First for technically 3.5 songs.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta have an intro.
Intro's like a half, so I guess you count that as 3.5.
Sure. Has Pushback performed live together?
Yeah, we've played what, six shows?
Six or seven shows. And we had a bunch of shows planned, but obviously with coronavirus, everything had to be changed and everything.
We had a weekend tour the week
wow.
coronavirus hit. Like we put together our own weekend tour, New York, Philly, New Jersey, 3-date weekender.
We were going out with our friends in Weaponize. Shout out to them. We were supposed to go out with them, but then the first show happened, and right before the second show, they were like, "Yeah, we have to cancel this." And then I booked the Sunday show in New Jersey,
in our hometown, that we were gonna do in a powerlifting gym that we got. We know the owner, and he was like, "Yeah, you guys can throw a show in there," and we were gonna take all the equipment out and throw a show in there. Because where we're from, there's nowhere to play shows except Starline Ballroom, and we're not paying $1,200 to play a show.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
So yeah, I booked it, and then it was a hard decision at the time because it was very low numbers. It was 15 in the next town over. There was 5, and I think 2 towns over, and then there was 1 in my town. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be the person to kind of bring the virus and bring the sickness to people. And if I have to cancel this show, it's not canceled. I just said it has to be rescheduled. I talked to the owner of the gym, and I was like, listen, if you really want to reschedule this, if you don't feel comfortable, then let's do it. And then he was like, all right, let's just play it safe and reschedule it, because he also doesn't want to have
ruin his business
at his gym.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, this quarantine's really really screwing everything up.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea when the next time I'm going to go to a concert is.
We put this demo out, the EP, March 20th, and then the next week, no shows.
Yep.
We got screwed big time.
Yeah.
But people are still receiving it well. We rarely heard anyone say anything negative about it. It seems everybody really likes it.
Mm-hmm.
We got a little TikTok shout out not too long ago from a guy who put us in a best of video, and that got us some attention.
Oh, the hardcore guy.
Yeah, he shouted us out, and ever since then,
Joey, bro.
Yes, Joey. He's the.
I'm playing Call of Duty with him now since we can't do shows, so it's.
Ever since that video, our monthly subscribers, we have 340 monthly subscribers on Spotify when we had 60.
Mm-hmm.
So ever since that video, we've jumped massively. So we can't thank him enough.
Wow, that is really cool. Yeah.
So how is life in a band during a quarantine? What are you guys up to?
Well, that was why we wanted to do this, because right now, with our situations, he was just able to leave the house.
Yeah.
I kind of am trying to not stay at my parents' house just for their safety, because I do have to work. I'm out and about. My parents are in their 50s and 60s. God forbid I fucking give it to them. I'm not going to take the chance. But our old drummer and guitar player, they lived an hour, 45 minutes from us or so. And with everyone's got different situations. We couldn't practice. Our practice space was at his house, but he's on full lockdown until recently. So it's not we can go jam anymore. We also used to come there. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of hindered us, but at the same time, while we've been in quarantine, we've just been kind of thinking about what we want to do, thinking of new ideas, starting to plan out some new songs, maybe something end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of taking down time to think, okay, what do we want to do? What's our game plan? Now we can't do anything. Now let's focus on the future. Do we want to, what kind of projects we want to do? When are we going to play shows again? If we can play shows again, who we want to play with? Everything besides actually getting together, but we're just kind of practicing our own separate ways.
Yeah, he's sending me riffs all the time, daily, just revised riffs. I think we could change this, or I came up with this today. And it's just, we're doing the best that we can with also maintaining, the social distancing and making sure we're all safe, because we all do care about each other. And then Arlo here, he's from Philly. So
we just got him.
He's been actually learning everything, and he's been writing to our new material.
Which is good that we have this downtime, because we can't go anywhere. So might as well write something, might as well sit down, and you have the time to learn all this shit now.
Yeah.
Just working on new stuff. It's on the way. I'm the constant writer brain. I'm always have riffs in my head, always recording shit on my phone. I'll send him 3 different songs a day. I thought of these riffs today. What do you think of these? Any of these good? All right, I'll take this one, and then we'll put it this one. And I love to write. Like all these songs, it was a conglomeration of like taking one riff out, switching it. We can make this better. How can we make this better? How can we make this better? And I'm always the one to be like, yeah, let's change that. Let's make it better. Let's make this harder. Can we change that drum riff? Can we make this riff harder? Like anything we can do to make the songs as best as they can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have any of you guys been in a hardcore band before?
This is my first band.
I'm actually in another band as we speak. They're called Player Hater. I joined recently because their bassist left. I played bass actually in kind of like a title fighty pop punk band, and I did bass and vocals, and we were a 3-piece. So I wasn't really in a hardcore band.
Yeah.
But again, I'm in Player Hater now, which is a hardcore band. I was in Dumpweed, which was a pop punk band, and I'm in Pushback. But
I'm in a couple bands. I'm in a band called Cycle of Abuse and Know Nothing. Know Nothing is like a straight edge band. I'm not really straight edge, but I kind of like, it was a similar situation where they kicked their old drummer out, and I just kind of joined in. I was like, I'm like the Philadelphia hardcore drummer, I guess, that joins every band.
That's the thing with us. Like, we've only played one show in New Jersey. Everywhere else we've played outside of New Jersey because we love the Philly scene. We love the PA hardcore scene. We have a lot of friends out there. Me and Joey have been going to hardcore shows together. That's how this thing started. I mean, me and him have been like show buddies for years, going to shows together because nobody else wanted to go around us. So.
Yeah. So I just heard the topic of straight edge punk come up. I just want to ask you guys have a lot of clear hardcore aesthetic from old, the old 1980s stuff all the way to like Knock Loose and whatnot. So I was wondering if you guys are as much into the hardcore philosophy as you are into the hardcore music. And obviously there's no.
Absolutely. Me and Joey have like, I could sit here all day and tell you about the 25 hardcore bands that changed my life and all the different hardcore bands I listen to today. And it's funny how you mentioned Knock Loose, because like when we started this band, like we used the same tuning as them in Drop G. So we knew like immediately, like we might get those, like people would be like, oh, this kind of sounds like Knock Loose. But like you could see how their careers have gone. They've blown up into the stratosphere. So I take it as like a good thing. But we wanted to do like that new sound of Knock Loose, like this new breed of hardcore with down-tuned guitars and these like super like almost like, I wouldn't call it deathcore, but like these like blackened riffs, like really sludgy, but also fast and thrashy. Like that's what we wanted to do. Like we wanted to mix the new wave with the old shit. We want to have like that old school, like Floor Punch Leeway kind of sound, but also the crushing, Knock Loosey, chunky riffs and breakdowns. And another band that we were heavily influenced by was Boundaries. Their sound, you can definitely hear it on the EP. We love Boundaries.
I've been about like that kind of hardcore life for like probably most of my life. My dad is an old school hardcore head from New York. My mom is a punk. She grew up on the Ramones and all that, like new wave punk in the 80s. And then like they kind of taught me like the morals, and I'm straight edge.
Yes, he's the straight edge one.
I'm the only straight edge one. I've been straight edge for 3 years. I don't preach it, but like if anyone wants to do that stuff around me, I don't judge them. It's my life. I do what I want. I believe in one life, one chance, PMA, Bad Brains, H2O, very inspired by them and their morals and what they think about like life and just the way they like think society is and the way that you think that you should live and take care of your body. So that's just the way that I look at it. But obviously other people want to do their thing. Yeah. I'm not the type of guy to be like, yo man, fuck you, you're smoking weed. But I'm just kind of like, if you do what you do, you do what you do, man. Like just don't pass it to me. I'll pass it to the next guy. That's how I live.
And similar to what he said, my family had at least my brothers. I'm the youngest of 6, and a couple of my brothers were in New Jersey hardcore bands from back in the day, like Arson, and their band Arson in the early 2000s had members of E-Town Concrete in it, and they have heavy roots in New Jersey. You didn't know Kenny was in E-Town?
No.
Yeah, they played my brother's old band that they're actually trying to put out their old material, Arson, back in the old days. They played shows with For the Love Of, and like they posted a show that they played with it was E-Town Concrete, Killswitch Engage, Candiria, Arson and somebody else, I forget. But my brothers have been in the New Jersey scene I remember like growing up just listening to this shit. Like I grew up when I was like 3 years old going to like kindergarten with a corn shirt on. Like this is all I've listened to my whole life. Arlo? Yeah.
In terms of hardcore,
Yeah.
like, when it comes to the message of hardcore, a lot of it I don't really dive into that much. I'm more like the ignorant type. Like I like ignorant shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why I'm in it. But I definitely respect PMA and straight edge people for sure.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you guys mind telling us a little bit about specifically the New Jersey hardcore scene?
The New Jersey hardcore scene. I'll take this one. The New Jersey hardcore scene. It's what it is. It's mostly based around bands that have they've been blowing up a lot recently. There's Brute, which is like a young straight edge hardcore band, which I'm friends with.
Shout out Baby Matt.
Shout out Baby Matt. There's Fence Cutter. Fence Cutter blew up but they recently did their final show. Just there a lot of the New Jersey scene. It's not a lot of beatdown, not a lot of the stuff that we play. So that's why most of our stuff is kind of outsourced. Because we don't really fit that kind of genre of hardcore. It's more like old school agnostic front, floor punch type style. That's just like ignorant circle pits and just like
detuned power chords.
Yeah, so it's just, again, I love that. I grew up on all that stuff, so I give mad respect. I give mad love to all those bands.
And I love that shit. We all like that shit.
Everyone loves that shit. It's like it's the classics. You know, you can't hate on the classics, but for the stuff that we play, it's not really welcomed here. So what we kind of do is we kind of step out and go to Philly, go to New York, and because that's where because Philly is the complete opposite. They don't really have that old school scene. They have the new school. So that's where we go, and that's where we've actually just kind of like not like been accepted, but kind of like found our like niche, kind of found our.
Another thing I would say about New Jersey is like it's very cliquey. It's like you have the little Asbury scene that's like kind of indie, but like there's like a little like tiny scene there. And then there's like the Perth Amboy, like kind of floor punchy straight edge scene. And then you have like the Central Jersey, which is like kind of a little bit of everything. And there's like a little bit of like a metalcore scene in New Jersey too, like Refinement and fucking, what's that other band? Zion?
Yeah.
They're kind of cool. Like there's a little bit of everything in New Jersey, but it's like there's very like nitpicky little like cliques. Oh, and Roseblood too. Yeah. Shout out Roseblood, best fucking metalcore band in New Jersey. I love that band.
It's just very like it's like there's like not really a lot of mixed genre shows. That's the kind of the point. But still a very strong scene. Obviously like people come here and be like, oh my God, there's shows every weekend of every single genre. Like, all right, I went to a hardcore show last week. I can go see a metalcore show. I can go see an indie show, a shoegaze show, stuff like that. So it's like, as much as it is like very like, well, you're this kind of band, we don't want you to play with us, but we still respect you for who you are.
Yeah.
It's kind of like there's a big diversity of what's around here. And that's what I like about it, because I like mostly everything that's around here.
Yeah.
So I'll go to any show as long as like I'll have a good time.
The basement scene in New Jersey too. There's basement shows everywhere. Like the people just throw their own shows. If we can't get a venue, we'll do it in our house. Screw it. Like New Jersey is a very not give a fuck state.
Yeah. All right, so we got a specific question. How do you guys approach writing lyrics?
That's mostly me. What happened is, as most people do, I kind of you struggle with anxiety, depression, just thoughts of everyday life, stuff like that. So I kind of instead of taking my anger out on myself and my mind and self-esteem and people around me, I kind of started writing these lyrics, and just like they're very like, if you listen to the EP, like people would listen to it and be like, yo, are you okay?
Yeah.
Like it's
right.
It's really like just
if you listen, you can hear there's some very dark shit in there. But like when he was asking me for ideas, I'm like, no, go with it. Let your fucking heart out. Like get to that deep place. I want you to make people feel what you feel. Make this shit lyrically as hard as it is musically. Where people like read the lyrics and they're like, damn, I hope he's okay, but this song's really good.
I've just had a lot of thoughts. You get a lot of trapped with your own inner demons. And I also, believe it or not, I take a lot of cues from bands like Joy Division, bands like The Cure, The Smiths, where it does have these darker undertones of like depression and everything, but it's a whole different kind of music. But then you listen to bands who obviously take stuff like that, like Boundaries and Burials and Roseblood, and take those exact same ideas but just make it into a heavier kind of music. So like, again, we could take the lyrics from Pushback and put it over everything, and it's still it can work, because all it is lyrics. It's all it is poetry. And I was very big in poetry in high school, and I still am. So it's just, all it is poetry to me, and it's just the music that matches the feeling that I felt.
The last song is like the only song that's really not like about, it's more about like, that song was written about
Someone that it's
a
just
certain someone,
that
but
me and him both know.
it's more about like people that choose women over friendships. Not like the typical like bros before hoes, but like you got a girlfriend and like we never hear from you. You start flaking on me, like, and I just don't exist anymore. And we kind of collabed on that one.
Yeah.
But the rest of the songs is about like just what he said. It's kind of the dark shit that like we kind of keep to ourselves, but everybody kind of thinks about.
It's the dark shit that no one ever wants to admit they think about. That's what I thought about it as.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what would each of you guys say are your specific influences musically? If you had to pick, you know,
Yeah,
the largest
I'll be right
influences.
quick with this one. So
All right, I'm about to shout a lot of bands out. So when it comes to my playing style and how I participate in my hardcore bands that I play in, I'd say my all-time biggest influence is 25 to Life.
oh
But
shit!
I will say,
yeah.
I will say their vocalist, their old vocalist, like lost his mind or whatever. He's like racist now.
Yeah,
Like,
he's crazy.
I mean, fuck that.
My
But-
brothers know that dude. He's nuts.
I mean, just in terms of drumming, let's see, Body Bag. There's a band called Body Bag from Chicago hardcore scene. Same thing with No Zodiac, same scene. And I guess I'll shout out
like, who would be like your biggest like drummer? Like,
biggest drummer.
like
I don't know. I'll have to throw it back to like Lamb of God.
Ah.
The 2000s, Chris Adler. It was my
Chris
favorite.
Adler. Yeah,
Yeah.
He got me into drumming for sure. But yeah.
For me, I was guitar. If I had to pick, shit, like a band where I heard like the guitar and I was like, damn, I need to play this shit. I listened to so many bands. I've been playing guitar for 14 years. Like, I would say Rage Against the Machine. The earliest songs I can remember learning on guitar was Bomb Track. Like, I learned the whole self-titled Rage Against the Machine record. I was obsessed with Tom Morello. Loved that shit. Still do. That record's amazing. Everything they did was sick. I don't really like all the super duper political shit that comes with it, but the rhythm section of that band, just the riffs were so good, so punchy, so catchy. And like the weird shit that he did with the guitar spoke to me, because everybody wanted to play a million notes a minute, but this guy over here was standing in front of his amp making like delay noises with all these like different pedals and shit. I was like, what's he doing? I like what he's doing. He's cool. Like, he's different. In terms of like hardcore, my favorite band of all time is Expire. Especially that goes with our band. Like, Expire's lyrics are some of the most blunt, dark, self-loathing stuff you're gonna read from a hardcore band. Their lyrics are very, very similar, like just pouring your heart out, feeling what you really feel, the dark shit that nobody talks about. I would also say my brother's band, Sid Barrett, growing up, they were like a kind of like progressive, like you couldn't really put a name on them. They're named after the original singer of Pink Floyd, Sid Barrett. I grew up hearing that all the time because I was always going to their practices, watching them play, and that was like a whole different world. And like they showed me At the Gates and In Flames, and that's where I really started learning like the technical metal guitar shit. And bass, I would say my influences are actually non-metal where I started playing bass. I'm a huge Primus fan. I love 311. I don't care what anybody says. I love 311. Stuff like that, like the real funky out there bass shit. That's what made me want to start playing bass. And then when you actually started listening to these new bands in hardcore coming out, like Burials, Left Behind that have like a really emphasis on bass tone and just like that thick, crunchy bass. That's what got me really wanting to like play metal bass, and Periphery too. Nolly Get Good. The bass I bought and like my bass rig is trying to be Nolly Get Good as much as I can. Like Periphery is my shit. I love Periphery.
I would say for bass, I would say Peter Hook from Joy Division and New Order. And I'd also throw out Matt Freeman because I've wanted to be Matt Freeman from Rancid and Operation Ivy and Devil's Brigade, and I wanted to be that guy for so long. He's so cool, and like he's like one of the biggest influences on me and one of the most underrated bassists ever. But if it comes to vocals, I really try to match my vocal style, like Rage Against the Machine and Expire, kind of like yelling, angry vocals, like as much as I can, but like try to like throw my own little spin on it, throw a little growling in there, throw a little screaming in there. But like I kind of mostly base my vocals around shouting because I really feel like growling, every band can growl. You try and you learn it, everyone can growl. It's like it's just something inside of you, it's a muscle. It's your diaphragm. But if you really feel the music to me if you're yelling. And that's why I really felt it, especially when I was like growing up listening to Rage Against the Machine, because he didn't do any of that special stuff. He just yelled and you felt it. You just felt it. And I was like, I want to yell like that. Like, that's awesome. So every single show I usually like fuck up my voice, but it's like, as long as I got the point across, that's all that matters to me, really.
When we wanted to start this band, we were like, okay, how would you want to do vocals? And we were like, we're playing these down-tuned riffs, and like every band does like the screaming and shit, and like that's what we all love. But like, how many bands do you hear doing like the old school hardcore like 90s-ish style vocals with these kind of instrumentals? Like, not a lot of bands are doing it right now, and that's what we're trying to do. Like, he does his yelling and like and he does growling too, and like I'll do backing vocals with him, and we'll do the screaming too. But like the thing that I always thought that we're trying to do different is another thing is our vocal style. And I think, not to like toot Joey's horn here, but like not a lot of people sound like him.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Like not a lot of people are doing that shit. It's how it goes.
Yeah. So what's some new music that the three of you are getting down with right now?
Oh, there's
to come out, or like just like what we've been jamming right
to?
now? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, does it have to be music that like just came out, or is it like new music that we're discovering?
No, just whatever you guys are listening to right now.
You can go first.
Yeah.
Oh damn, there's so much.
I mean, unless you want me to go first, because I can just go on my recents.
I always have to. I'm always jamming like a lot of shoegaze. Like, I listen to a lot of like Title Fight, Basement, Super Heaven, My Bloody Valentine, Smashing Pumpkins, like everything. Like, I always love that. So I'm always jamming some shoegaze. The rap side of things, I like Scrim from Suicide Boys. His new album is great.
Love Suicide.
The new Denzel Curry's great. But on the hardcore side, stuff that I'm like recently discovering is I've been giving Bam and Chara a good listen. I've been giving Orthodox, I've been listening to a lot. The new Dealer is fantastic. So it's just like, and also oh my god, what the band Strangled is Strangled. Actually, I don't know how that guy even makes those vocals. He sounds like a demon, but it's just like it's actually wild that an actual voice like that can come out of someone. So I've been jamming a lot of that recently. But just other than that, I've been listening to a lot of Guar. That's another thing.
Love Guar.
Yeah.
My YouTube name is Scumdog1997. That's like one of the things we bonded over. I'm a huge Guar fan. We love Guar here. Guar is very loved and appreciated in Pushback.
That's what I've been listening to.
Me, I would say number one, Kaonashi PA. If you haven't heard Kaonashi, you either love them or you hate them, but they, to me, are like the most original band right now. Like, his lyrics, there's so much depth to that shit. And the music is progressive. It's kind of hardcore. It's kind of mathy. Like, I love what Kaonashi's doing right now. Kaonashi's like my favorite band right now. Other than them, I would say like hardcore-wise, Sabella, Always listening to Sabella. Always listening to Expire. Hardcore was
the new Mind Force. The new Mind Force.
New
is
Mind
great.
Force, yes, very much. Born Anew, I still am listening to Eternal Isolation. Love that album. New Jersey hardcore. Love Born Anew. What was that other? There was one other band I've been listening to a lot lately. Wait, what was it? Oh, duh. See You Space Cowboy. Listen to See You Space Cowboy.
Yeah.
I love that band. We went to see them together not too recently.
Yeah.
He's not the biggest See You Space Cowboy fan, but I was dancing the whole set. I lose my mind to that band.
I was mostly there for Stick to Your Guns and Rotting Out.
Oh, and Wrist Meets Razor too.
Oh, the new Rotting Out's great too.
New Rotting Out's sick. Wrist Meets Razor, I've been listening to them a lot. The new Acacia Strain songs that keep coming out. Oh my god, that I love the Acacia Strain. Non-metal stuff. I recently, like I would say 6 or 7 months ago, I've become obsessed with the Smiths. That's his fault. I used to hate the Smiths, and now I listen to the Smiths like every day. I love the Smiths. Johnny Marr is like my new guitar hero. Rap, we both love Lil Peep. Always will love Lil Peep. I like X. I was a big Trippie Redd fan. I like some of the new rap that's coming out. I don't like everybody, but like I try and listen to everything. And like you can tell just from the three of us, we all listen to different shit. Like I'm constantly trying to listen to something new. I feel like if you listen to hardcore every day, you're just gonna be the caveman, like every fucking 2 minutes. And no one wants to be angry all the time. Like you gotta listen to something else. I try. I mean, I predominantly listen to metal, but like if I'm smoking or hanging out, like I'll listen to Lil Peep or something a little bit more mellow. Other than that, I'm a diehard Brand New fan. I know they have like a lot of hate because of their singers like alleged stuff that went on, but I listen to like alternative stuff like that, like Brand New, Citizen. Love Citizen. The Story So Far is one of my favorite bands. I don't know if you can kind of see there's a Story So Far banner back there. The Story So Far, like pop punk and shit like that. I love that. I know Chunk No Captain Chunk's putting out a new album. Love that kind of stuff. Easy core. Like I grew up with like the 2000s, like Victory Records, Fearless Records, like metalcore scene, like Chunk No Captain Chunk, The Word Alive, Miss May I, shit like that. Like I still listen to all that too. Love that shit. But yeah, I'm all over the place. All over the place. But shout out Kayanashi. I love Kayanashi to death.
I've been checking out a lot of like European hardcore bands, which I kind of skipped over, like Malevolence and Desolated and shit like that. I kind of
such a good shout out.
Yeah, I like
Such a
skipped
good
over
band.
them a little bit. Malevolence put out some new stuff, which I've been jamming. I think it's pretty damn good.
Malevolence is sick.
They got everything on
So
lockdown, I guess.
Desolate. A lot of people say that we kind of sound like Desolated a little bit.
True.
We do kind of sound like Desolated a little bit.
Right.
I fucking love them.
Yeah, that kind of stuff, and then like heavier stuff from Europe. Like, there's a lot of heavy stuff from like Germany, like Spawn of Disgust and shit like that.
Or even Russia, like Abominable Putridity and shit.
Oh,
like
true.
That.
Yeah, that's a little bit older.
A little bit older,
a long
but
time ago. Yeah.
I know all about that shit.
And then I've also been getting into this like. I remember when I was 13, I found Young Lean. I don't know if you guys know Young Lean.
I know Young Lean.
But yeah, I've like been rediscovering him and his boys, like Blade and stuff like Bladey.
Oh, I've heard of him. I've heard of that too.
That's kind of like the chill stuff I've been listening to. I've been trying to, get into more. Yeah.
Nice.
We're all over the place. We listen to everything. Not to.
It's the best place to be. Yeah.
So let's see. What would you guys say your goals are for the band for the coming months?
For the coming months,
I would
definitely
just have this stuff over so we can actually play shows again because we miss all that. I miss going to shows.
Yeah.
I miss being in the environment. I don't even need to play shows again. I just want to go to a show. I don't care what it is.
But I mean, for the band,
really.
we want to, as soon as we can, start playing shows again. Obviously.
The band probably get together and start writing, like finishing these songs that we've been working on.
Yeah.
So we can actually have a full set, and not just 10 minutes. So.
Yeah, we've been doing like 12, 15-minute sets around there because our stuff's not too long. We'll like throw in a cover or something, kind of change it up for everybody. Like we've done a Suburban Scum cover. We've covered Aspire. We've done shit like that just to like have fun with it, but also like start to push our own stuff. But definitely goals like for the end of the year, start playing shows again. Hopefully we'll have something out by the end of the year. We're working on it, figuring that out. Whether it's an EP or a split, we don't know. We're still kind of working out the kinks. But
I just want to keep pushing.
We're definitely just keep doing what we're doing. It's obviously working a little bit. So
I just want to keep pushing.
Keep pushing
what we have out right now. Push it to the point of people going like, oh yeah, I can't wait for something to come out, and then just boom, just we announce something.
Yeah.
We need a guitarist.
That would be
If
anyone watching, we really could use a new guitar player right now because we had to let those guys go. Nothing personal. It was just like just not working out. But yeah, if anyone watching this has a 7-string guitar and would love to play in a hardcore band in New Jersey, hit us up. We got one. All right. What is that? I've been as RG, what? Like an RG?
257.
Aha. Yeah, we play in drop G, so you need a 7-string. It's really hard to play in a 6.
Yeah. So this is the part of the interview where we open up for you guys to plug anything you'd like, anything that you guys want to say, anything you want to ask of us, just go for it.
Is there really anything we can plug right now? I mean, I just
We
check
plug
us out.
everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say
we can kind of like
check us out on Instagram, Pushback NJHC. We're Pushback NJHC everywhere on everything, Facebook, Instagram.
all the streaming services, literally everything. You can find us on YouTube.
Pushback NJHC. The demo is on everything: Spotify, Bandcamp, Google Play, all that good stuff.
Oh, let me figure out Joey's TikTok so I can plug.
Oh yeah, and check us out on a little TikTok feature. What isn't it? Ruthless.vault.
Yeah, it's ruthless.vault. He has his own clothing brand named the same thing, so check that out.
He's been helping us out, so might as well.
Dude, he's been blowing up.
Yeah. He's like, actually, he's like, I don't even know what ideas to do anymore. I'm taking suggestions. Like, but I love him. He's such a good guy. I like to shout out Weaponize, shout out Back to Life,
our brothers,
shout out Cycle of Abuse.
Yes.
Shotzi, Inner Turmoil, all those guys, everyone in the PA hardcore scene, people in New Jersey hardcore. Like, I gotta plug Fence Cutter, Brute, all those guys, Player Hater, all those guys, love all those guys. So I like to just shout out those guys.
A question for you guys, I guess, if we can ask. You guys have listened to the EP?
Yes.
How you feel about it? thoughts?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I love to hear different takes and opinions on it.
So I think that Connor and I are both big fans of the hardcore resurgence via bands like Code Orange, Knock Loose, Dealer, so on and so forth. And so to be perfectly honest with you, the sort of music that you guys are making is exactly what Connor and I are currently looking for. So, yeah.
That's awesome. See, this is what we're trying to do here. Put the new stuff and the old stuff together.
Yeah. So not only do Connor and I like it, but the good news is I think that you guys have a market for it that's still growing, you know? So.
Yeah.
I thought about it as at first was like, when the one thing that like really brought it to my attention was when Code Orange got nominated, I think for a Grammy. For Forever.
For Forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's honestly like crazy because they used to play like this local venue that used to be in New Jersey called Game Changer, and they were like they were kind of like mid-carders, and like, well, now they're nominated for a Grammy. Yeah. Like at first I was like, yeah, fuck those guys, they're sellouts and everything. But like then I started seeing like Knock Loose t-shirts and like Hot Topic and stuff like that. But what I'm thinking, like, I kind of broadened my mind about it, and I really thought about it like over a while, because at first I was very like ignorant about it, and I didn't have like, I was just very straightforward, like, nah, fuck those guys, they're like selling out, they don't know the real meaning. But then I kind of thought about it. I was like, you know what, when I was growing up, it was a lot of like teasing me and like bullying me, and for the stuff that I used to listen to, and like, you know, kids used to walk down the street and have their Beats pill in their backpack, you know, when Beats pills like first like were huge, and then like they were like blasting anything that was popular, and I was always so scared to blast like music that I listened to, because I was always like afraid I would get judged by everyone. But now that I'm seeing like hardcore getting popular, I'm like kind of excited for like the generation below us, because when they get into it, it'll be more accepted, it'll be more loved. They wouldn't have to get the kind of shit that I got for it or Devin got for it. I'm pretty sure Arlo got for it, for listening to these bands that like were like, oh, that's just screamo, you know, you're so emo, you know, you're gonna cut yourself, shit like that.
How many
it was just
times I
childish
heard
stuff.
that at Sayreville
Like-
War Memorial High School? It's not even funny.
Yeah,
How
but-
many times people thought that I was cutting myself, or that I was a whole list of things. Like, our school was not kind to me and Joey.
It just gets to a point though where I'm like, all right, this is like great, because like now that there's like a generation of kids coming up below us that I'm seeing at shows that are like, when I started going to shows around like shows like this, which are around like 12, 13, 14, and I'm like, you know what? These kids are now gonna be able to make friends in their school. These kids are gonna be able to now relate to other people, and now they have this, and it's more accepted. And that's what, now I'm like, all right, this is like a good thing, because now it's not really, of course you're gonna have the people who like wear their Metallica shirts and all their things like that, and like their Misfits shirts, their Ramones shirts, and be like, I'm punk. But like you're always gonna have that. But I'm just kind of happy that it's kind of being more accepted, you know.
Knock
Yeah.
Loose is really paving the way for people to get into hardcore. As much as hate as love as they get, like, you can't say right now that there's someone that doesn't listen to hardcore that much and they hear Knock Loose and they're like, whoa, what else sounds like this? And then they start listening to all these hardcore bands because Knock Loose plays with hardcore bands. And I think that's awesome. I think, like he said, Code Orange getting a Grammy. I listened to Code Orange when they were still Code Orange kids. And they were nobody. And they were playing this converged, like, aggressive, super fast hardcore. And now they're playing, like, Bleeding the Blur, where, like, Reba's singing and, like, doing all this shit. And, like, you can hate it or love it, but, like, they're getting out to the huge audience. They're spreading at least hardcore ideas in their songs. Like, they're playing hardcore riffs. They're playing breakdowns. They're playing dissonant chords. They're doing all the shit that we do, but they're on a higher scale and so much, like, I wouldn't call it generic, but like it's just easily, like, kids kind of get it more because it's more mainstream and people are like, oh, you like that? Oh, this is like kind of new for me. And like bands like Code Orange playing with like Papa Roach, like you see they're playing like these big ass shows with like these like Slipknot,
and,
like,
A Day to Remember,
that's just
Code Orange at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, putting a spotlight on bands that would never tour with those bands or never see the light of day. Like, I love bands like Full of Hell that are playing with these, like, big bands. Like, they played a show with Mr. Bungle before the quarantine went down. That was crazy.
I wish I could have went to that.
I
I love Mr. Bungle.
It's awesome that bands are getting big for this kind of shit.
Yeah, same thing, like, and it goes into, like, even, like, rap music now, where bands like Suicide Boys and, like Ghostmane brought out Jesus Piece, like, and Candy on tour with him. And those are, like, hardcore bands playing with rappers. And, like, it's like, I love how just it's getting back to, instead of it being like so strictly a genre, it's getting back to being like, all right, it's music, it's aggressive music, so let's throw it together. You know, these mixed genre shows are what's actually thriving in the scene right now, because you get more people that are coming together and getting exposed to these different kinds of music.
City Morgue too.
Yeah, City Morgue really blurs the lines between like really like heavy
aggressive
hardcore.
trap music and hardcore music. Like, it's crazy. They're really like putting the two together. I love City Morgue. And like he said, Ghostmane putting
out a whole hardcore album.
Harm's Way, Jesus Piece, and who else played that tour? Candy. Like, hard bands playing with like a rapper. Like, it's just this. If you would have told me in 2012 that rappers would start screaming and have like these aggressive ass like bass drops that sound like breakdowns, I would laugh in your face. Now there's dudes like Scar-Lord and Ghostmane and what's that dude? There's a guy that just signed to Epitaph Records. What's his name? Nothing Nowhere.
Oh, Nothing Nowhere is like emo. Like, he's like
there's
reviving
emo, and it's all like starting to blur together.
And Epitaph was like strictly like a punk, kind of like a punk label.
And now they're signing
like this emo rapper, which is like, it's pretty cool to see like everything's now blurring together, because obviously these rappers have influences that we had, but they went in a completely different direction that we went in. So like, again, they grew up listening to Blink-182, Sum 41, like heavier bands like Miss May I, Acacia Strain, but they just went in a whole different direction. And it just shows that like the music, it's not about a genre, it's just about the music, it's about the feeling that make what's coming out of your instrument, what's coming out of your mouth. So
it's crazy how much the rappers, like some of the rappers that like at least I pay attention to, like Trippie Redd, he states like he grew up listening to like 3 Days Grace and All That Remains and like stuff like that. And like these rappers are wearing Vane shirts, like what's his name? The guy who overdosed on hot Cheetos, Lil Xan. Lil Xan got pictured with a Vane t-shirt
and sworn in.
Like these rappers are wearing like band tees and shit. It's crazy. It really, like, the lines are completely blurred now. It's all
really
coming
cool.
together. It's
I think it's
awesome.
cool.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris, you were reconnecting for a sec. Yeah, I mean, guys, I think that sums it up. You guys have any final comments, questions?
Jamie AP, hopefully new stuff coming soon. New stuff will, by the end of the year, I hope by the end of the year we'll have something out. We're working on it.
Shout out to my mom for letting us practice in the basement.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks for coming. We really appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having us. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Sweet.
Glad you enjoyed it.
See you later.
Sweet. See you
All right,
guys.
guys.
Thanks.
See ya.